Thank you everyone for joining us. We've got Bernd from XION and Roland here on the Agoric side, and we're going to talk about chain abstraction and how it's going to help make Web3 consumer ready. What we're going to do, we're going to have our speakers introduce themselves, talk a little bit about what their projects are, why they think chain abstraction is important, and then we're going to dive into our big talking points. I'm going to give a quick overview of what chain abstraction is, just so we're all on the same page. And then after that, we'll kick it off and we'll dive in. So just so everyone kind of has this same idea of where we are, we're talking about chain abstraction, and it's an idea that's gaining a lot of popularity recently, that users should not have to interact directly with their blockchains, right? As a design philosophy, it's really focused on improving the user experience by enabling seamless interactions with all the different tokens and platforms and apps that you as a person want to use on different chains without having to use 1,000 different applications. All in all, everyone seems really excited for it. Really cool idea, and we're really happy to be talking with teams who are talking about chain abstraction and thinking about it today. So, without further ado, Bernd, bring us in. Tell us a little bit about XION and why you think chain abstraction is so important.
Hell yeah. Cool. XION obviously working as one of the key players in the chain abstraction space along with Agoric. And I think it's the only way that we reach mainstream adoption. I think Web3 is way too technically complex and has insane barriers to entry. And I think the only way to actually reach users is to kind of go to them.
Right on. Roland, give us a quick overview. What is Agoric, and why do you think chain abstraction is important?
Sure. Yeah. So thanks for having me. Welcome, everybody. Agoric is a layer one chain that is built for smart contracts in JavaScript and uniquely enables what we call orchestration, which is our approach to how we let developers build for a chain abstracted world. And really what that means is, as an Agoric smart contract, when you talk to other contracts or talk to other chains, you send messages and await a reply. That reply could happen in the same block, or it could happen 21 days later, like if you're unstaking or something like that. And what that means really just at a high level is, for developers, it will be significantly easier to build applications and contracts that speak cross-chain on Agoric than anywhere else, as a result of sort of the native async capability and the orchestration capabilities that we're about to launch. And so that's really our approach to chain abstraction, and we're really excited to be launching in the next couple months here.
Sweet. Awesome. All right, so really great high-level intros to both projects, and I'm really excited to kind of hear a bit more about how these different approaches work and dive into how they might even end up working together. So just for those of us, I totally spent a lot of time reading the burnt docs and every page on your website, so I know everything. But
Absolutely.
For the other people who might not
Those
have
who don't
spent
know, of course.
Tell us a little bit about what XION got going on. What's the product, and what is your approach to making chain abstraction more accessible?
Totally. I think it's and I appreciate, the hours and hours of research that you did, on that. But
So someone has
with
to.
that, yeah, I mean, someone's gotta, right? We need more people like you in the world. That being said, I think, it's funny because chain abstraction is such an interesting word where it, like a lot of things in crypto, it means everything and nothing at the same time. I think when we think chain abstraction, like I would say that in the way that like orchestration works, I think that's one piece of the puzzle. And I think, the way that we kind of work with it is very similar, obviously utilizing interchain accounts, if anyone's familiar with the IBC protocol, in order to kind of, be able to say, hey, not only should you not know what chain you're working on, taking that a little bit step forward and saying, you shouldn't really even need to know that you're interacting with crypto at all. Our goal is to create a complete Web2 experience with credit card, debit card, if you want, obviously still being able to use EUSDC and Ether, whatever. But I think for us, when we think abstraction, that's kind of all that we think about. And so whether that be abstracted interop, which is very similar to what I would think orchestration is, or gas abstraction, fee abstraction, effectively everything on our chain is a smart contract account. So we're able to very seamlessly communicate everywhere. It's a very long-winded approach, or answer, I should say, for just answering the simple question of we just want to abstract all crypto away.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so
Yet
brave?
so brave.
But I mean, I think you've said something that really sticks out to me, and I hear a lot of people bring up in these chain abstraction conversations, and which is I think particularly kind of wild and interesting that you're like, we want to recreate Web 2 experiences in Web 3. And you're seeing a lot of, or at least I'm hearing a lot of people who are referring back to like, we using Web 2 as a model, which is not what I expected to hear from people building crypto products.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people like I don't know. I was talking to like my grandmother the other day, and she's like, "Listen, I just started using this online banking and stopped using checks." And I'm like, "That's where we fucking are." Like in the process of everything, I'm like, I just bought like X amount of like pussy and bio token. I'm like, damn, and you're still paying your bank account with checks. But like, what I'm saying is, there's such a bigger world out there, and like, very unfortunately crypto will always consistently be capped by wallets, right? And I think that's kind of this first and foremost thing, which the friction and the knowledge is so freaking high for new users. Um, and you also get this whole thing of, you're not really in crypto until you get rug pulled. Like that shouldn't be a fucking thing. Like
Yeah.
that just shouldn't be. That's not how we need to operate in kind of reaching these next million users or whatever. And so it's people are very used to a Web2 experience, and it's simple, right? Like it's been worked on for the last 20 or so years, like good good Web2 UI, and so it's not only is it like functional barriers, but it's also knowledge barriers that really keep people out. And especially as we were in a bear market and no one fucking trusted crypto, you kind of really just got to go to the end user.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I was talking to my grandmother the other day, and she was looking at the docs for Uniswap V4 and was like, I
Oh
just
yeah.
don't get why XY plus K is such a big thing. It
Oh
really,
yeah.
it's not user friendly. It really,
Like, are
really
we just gonna
isn't.
call hooks intense? Is that what we're doing here? Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit, like, what was the inspiration to build Zion and to like create this platform?
Yeah. I was originally building early Solana days. Obviously, very before that, I lit a Banksy on fire and turned it into an NFT, hence the name Burnt Banksy. And then for a little while, I was building early Solana. So, with Metaplex in the first NFT standard, and then built the first collection standard over there, and was building one of the first decentralized NFT marketplaces. And man, is that an uphill battle building a product? And you kind of look around, you look at like even the top 100 coins on CoinMarketCap. I mean, you can probably pick out a handful of things that are not like that are actual projects, not just pure infrastructure plays. And it was fine in a bull market, but when a bear market came, there was 3 users in crypto, and on that kind of crash, you kind of then realize, which is like, wow, this is going to continue being extremely cyclical until we can actually onboard people, and the process doesn't take days, and it doesn't take extreme knowledge barriers. And I think the main thing that crypto is using is it feels like a lot of the products here are a huge value capture funnel, and then B, fighting over scraps. And I think you can kind of feel this when it's like this airdrop game of L2, TVL pump, swapping for farming, because there's not really much new, and there's not really many
Right.
new users, and there's not much new capital coming in aside from like Bitcoin ETF. And so I think the real next problem that needs to be solved, I think before we can really see any innovation on the application side, is the ability to actually onboard users and to provide a good experience that doesn't have like a 4% user capture rate.
Yeah, and I mean that is honestly a perfect transition into bringing Roland up to talk a little bit about our approach to this. It's almost as if we coordinated ahead of time.
Yeah, like
Um,
we orchestrated, if you would.
oh, he said it.
And I
But
guess before I talk about Agoric, I guess I just want to say I couldn't agree more with everything I just heard. I'm someone that's pretty deep in this space. I've been a heavy DeFi user since DeFi summer.
Mhm.
And even when I'm trying to like move assets across chain, I end up with the wrong thing on the wrong side, and I'm like trying to trade something with super low liquidity, and it's like, fuck, I just spent $200 in fees to get here, and now it's not even the thing I wanted.
And now you don't have ETH in your wallet to resend it back.
I know, and it's like this, I'm probably in the top 1% of like knowledgeable crypto users, and this still happens to me. Like this cannot be the world that we live in still in a couple of years, because really the space will die without a new innovation. And I also fully agree that there really has felt like this cycle, there just hasn't been the kind of 0 to 1 stuff that we saw last cycle with DeFi, with NFTs coming for the first time. It's just kind of a lot of those same recycled ideas. And so, I think that 0 to 1 leap really does need to be in mainstream onboarding. And as you said, there are a few components to this that need to come together to make it work. And one of them is seamless asset onboarding, whether that's fiat or management of crypto. And you guys are working there. Account abstraction, having universal accounts that can reach across chains, and the user doesn't necessarily need to know what's happening underneath. And then, on our side, it's about the decentralized connectivity and making those accounts that reach across chains, giving them the kinds of capabilities that feel like the same app on the same chain that we interact with today, and allowing that composability across different chains, different assets, and in a space where the user shouldn't really have to know, for the most part, what's underlying the networks they're working on, but those choices still do matter, right? You still, and especially as like a relatively technical person, like I think about the security trade-offs of the chains I'm working on, but most users not only won't want to do that, they won't be capable of doing that. And so what you really want is the ability for developers to build these kinds of applications and make those choices largely on behalf of their users. So users are still working in a decentralized ecosystem, still able to sort of access their assets through multiple front ends, all the things we love about crypto, but don't have to spend the pain to manage their own resources if they don't want to. And so that's really like, I love seeing different projects coming at the same problem from different angles and solving different pieces of it, because it's the thing that starts to get me excited about, okay, maybe in the next year we will see some real breakout things, because that's the sort of thing we need for that.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously, I couldn't agree more. And I think it's super exciting when because everyone knows it's a problem, right? And I think like it's funny, we had this conversation internally, especially as we were talking about something like gas fees, which is, I think in hopefully 5 years, but I think the idea of a gas fee is just kind of going to go away, and it'll be very similar to how Web2 projects front an AWS bill, right? And I think as we continue to lower everything like that, ideally, and I think like it's easy, right? Using Web2 as a model is very easy, because it's also, the less people have to deviate from their norm, the better it is. And I think like what we see a lot with a lot of the projects that build on us is you kind of take the solutionism away when you remove the crypto, in a way, right? There's obviously still going to be like, I want this but Web3, and it's like, well, that's stupid. But I think when you take the selling point of it being Web3 away, you actually get rather interesting innovation where you get like true online, trying to capture true online value in a decentralized way without it mattering to someone who cares. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you start focusing on solving real problems.
Exactly.
Because this plus Web3 is not actually something that most users give a crap about.
Right.
So, like, honestly, nobody gives a shit that Netflix uses Postgres or Cassandra. They choose Netflix over Hulu because it suits their immediate content need, right? Like, no one's making that decision based on their database.
Like, oh, you use Kubernetes? Yeah, well, absolutely. This is why I use it.
Right. I mean, we often talk about the database example. I think of it more like, do I care how my packets get routed, or what internet backbone provider I'm using to get to, some destination? No. And the web got built that way because users didn't care, and they were solving problems that, So, okay, Ant-Man, you asked me about Agoric. And so from my side, I kind of talked a little bit at a high level about what Agoric contracts do and what orchestration can provide for this world, but I can be a little bit more concrete on a use case. And this is something that we see when we talk to a lot of the folks that are doing cross-chain stuff, primarily in the Cosmos ecosystem right now, where if if you look at the existing cross-chain apps like IBC.fun or Squid or any of these sort of cutting
Well, you
edge
just listed
apps.
only swaps, but yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and but I think that there's sort of a reason for that, right? It's like very, very difficult to do things that
Of course.
extend beyond transfer and swap. And so we were talking with you know, I'll just say one of these teams, and the thing they were trying to do was a particular kind of bridge transfer, then an IBC bridge, and then one operation after that. And they couldn't do it because the bridging protocol they were using didn't allow them to send the right messages across, basically no metadata at all. And so the message lost all its context as soon as it got there. And you know, this is the cutting edge of cross-chain
Yeah.
operations. And
We're putting bleeding in bleeding
yeah,
edge.
yeah, exactly. And so like
Literally.
well, like you look at the state of current cross-chain apps and they're really, really basic. And it's not because developers are stupid. It's not because like nobody knows
Totally.
this is a problem. It's because you just can't build the shit. And so what Agoric is able to provide is a contract structure where you can string it and just like we can do a lot more complex stuff than this, but the low-hanging fruit here really is just I want to do 4 different operations in a row and I don't want to have to sign more than one transaction. Full stop. Like that is something you can very easily do on Agoric that just doesn't exist yet. And so
And do you
that's
guys expand outside of
good.
IBC? Is that pretty inclusive to IBC, or is that everything?
Yeah, so the short answer there is yes. So the first application that's building and will launch is, you know, using Axelar to get to EVM. We expect to be connecting to Hyperlane, which will do probably
Nice.
Solana, you know, the modular ecosystem, all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And yeah, as we think about expanding this, it's basically like which ecosystems can we reach?
Yep.
IBC provides a nice uniform infrastructure for like ICAs, ICQs. Like we have sort of a common way to talk to different chains and ask and perform certain actions. And so it becomes very easy for IBC connected chains. Beyond IBC, it will sort of be like, okay, what messages can we actually pass with this route? How can we create an account? Can we get balance transfer notifications? All this like technical stuff we need to figure
All the
out.
fun stuff.
But you know, that's sort of what we're doing, right? And so
Yeah.
over the course after our first launch, which should come in the next 3 to 4 weeks, for Orchestration Core, we're immediately looking to have our APIs start to cover Axelar, Union, Hyperlane, you know,
Oh,
all the
nice. Yeah,
core
yeah,
like
yeah.
transfer capabilities to get to different ecosystems beyond IBC.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, I think we're taking a similar approach, but I think where we look at a lot of that is through in-chain accounts. And so, like, I think, kind of you. I think we had like 2, 3 weeks ago something with Injective, which was being able to use the Talos NFT marketplace through Zion on Injective, which was like I think we had like 300,000 IBC channels created, and it was funny because it was just people in the audience can probably attest. We had a lot of problems with effectively like slowing IBC down to a halt and hitting like the hard coded the hard coded limits of Hermes relay. It was definitely a lot of fun, but I'm excited for what you guys are doing, and like I think there's a lot of ways that we can work together because it's the thing that's really awesome about, I would say, every project that I talk to with chain abstraction or kind of everything like that is it finally also feels like the first time that there's genuine like need for composability
Right.
or
Yep.
wanting for composability, which is like, hey, we don't fucking care, and that's beautiful. Like that's how it should be, which is it's not you know you could say you're an L1 and you're not competing. Like I think Mert from Solana posted a thing yesterday, which is like from Aptos, which is like it was a job post that was effectively looking for people to bring over Solana projects, and that's how the industry has felt. It's been very cutthroat. It's been very dog eat dog or winner take all, and I think when you get past that hurdle of like Solana users or Aptos users or Agoric or Zion, you get this genuinely like in my mind beautiful um like beautiful competition in a way where it's more about fighting for better products, like more users than it is of like just a pure rat race. And I'm very, very excited for that future and not this kind of like, oh, you need to airdrop to these people because you need to steal Solana users or you need to
I
steal
mean, like
Polygon users.
we're legitimately just rehypothecating the same community over and over again to different
Oh my
blockchains,
God.
right? Like they're all just like liquid staked people, you know, at this
Yeah,
point.
it's the same person. It's one person
And
with like 18 different accounts.
right. And I think people are starting to realize that, like, you know, when you look at, when you talk about the sum total of like Solana users or Cosmos users or Ethereum users, like, these are not completely separate circles. They are
No.
extremely overlapping Venn diagrams, and like, the conversations that we're having, people like so many projects are thinking about the same things, and it's really cool to be like, oh, you're thinking about that? We're thinking about that too. And there's a level of coordination where, within the industry that, I mean, for me, is really exciting to see.
Yeah, no, and it's like it's not only excited, but I'm genuinely excited for like product innovation, which is hey, this is now we're now omni-chain in a way, right? So now it's less about like having it's less about being the NFT marketplace or the swap or the DEX or the XYZ TVL increasing protocol on XYZ new chain. It's now about hey, this is new, this is interesting, and we have the users where this is now a viable business model.
Totally agree. And so, I think the days, honestly, the mainstream adoption of crypto is not going to happen in a way where it's like tribal and, a third of people go to the Ethereum
Yeah,
ecosystem and a third of people like that. That's just like, this is early stage crap that's
it's
happening right
not
now.
modular versus monolith. Like that's
Right.
not what my grandmother cares about.
And, yeah, like and the adoption pathway is going to be different, right? Like I think a
Yeah,
lot of our adoption pathway has been I buy a certain asset and then I go check out all the things that that asset enables me to do. And as soon as like I look at the Cosmos ecosystem, and again, the fact that it's small kind of makes this maybe not a great example, but I still think about like for the users of Stargaze and the users of Osmosis are pretty much the same people, and they don't really view those things as fundamentally all that different. Like it's the same wallet, it's the same, if I want to move assets, it's a deposit button and it takes 6 seconds. Like that is sort of as IBC extends, as better cross-chain bridging protocols extend, like it's going to feel like that all over crypto. And all of a sudden, this tribalism that's been like locked into a network effect for a specific blockchain just like won't be a thing. Like that's fundamentally what I believe. And so for us, it's about how do we compose in a world where that is going to be true. And then for, how do builders build for end users that actually care about solving a problem outside of just like, okay, I'm locked in with a certain kind of asset. What do I do with it? And I think, I think that's the change that's coming, and that's why I'm excited. And yeah, as you say, like I love seeing other projects that are doing similar things. The world outside of crypto is so much bigger than the world in crypto, and so fighting amongst chains seems like
you're
the
getting
dumbest thing to me.
scraps.
Yeah,
You're literally
exactly. Like
getting
who
scraps.
cares about that?
We call that
There's just so
chain
much.
distraction.
Boo.
I have
I
been
love that, dude.
waiting to use that.
I'm totally gonna use that from now. I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna give you credit, man. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
start using that.
No, do it. Sadi shot me down on using that like 10 times, so I was just like, we're doing it. We're going live. All right.
Oh,
In the last few minutes, um, just for the everyone in the audience, get us hyped. What's coming up with our project? Roland, give us a quick overview. What's coming up next on the Agoric side, and then Bernd, take us to church and close us out. Tell us what's next
hell yeah.
for coming up for Zion.
Orchestration Core launching with upgrade 16, probably within the next 4 weeks, hopefully sooner than that. And that will be the first time that the Agoric chain allows orchestration contracts to deploy. If you're somebody that sees a problem composing across networks or even just stringing together multiple operations and sees an opportunity there, you could be building now. And by the time you're ready to deploy, it will be able to deploy on Agoric chain. And yeah, that's what I'm excited about.
Hell yeah. Dude, I'm honestly so excited for that too. I'll be honest. It's funny. We've been talking for a while, And I think I miss you guys every time because I'm like in and out of New York, but we've been talking orchestration for a while, and it's like genuinely awesome to have this conversation. But I mean, for us, mainnet coming extremely soon. Obviously, a big launch with that. We have a ton of projects that have been on testnet that are coming live on mainnet. Super excited for that. And I would say that all of our efforts are, I mean, all of our efforts are coming to mainnet. And so I think today we just announced with Landslide, they're bringing IBC over to AVAX. And so with that kind of coming chain abstraction to AVAX, last week we did BNB, week before was Saga. I might get that mixed up and then injected before that. So I mean, keep on the horizon for kind of new things there, new experiences that'll be coming out of that. So we're super freaking excited. And I'll see you guys in Austin.
Hell
So that'll
yeah.
be fun.
That's right. Yeah, anyone who's coming out to Consensus, Zion, Agoric, DCF, Near, Particle Network, Union, and a list of other sponsors that keeps on growing because everyone is so excited about chain abstraction. We're all getting together to host a big abstraction event in Austin called
Abstracathon.
Abstract Austin. Yeah, it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be like this space, but bigger, longer, wider, huger, better, and more food. Yeah, we'll drop links to that on our respective socials, but super excited to hear about what's coming up. Zion moving projects to mainnet. Love to hear about that. We're gonna keep tabs on that. Definitely talk to you guys as more stuff happens. Roland, thank you so much for the product update. Orchestration Core coming soon, and shortly after that, the orchestration API will be released. So if you're someone who's building in the cross-chain space and you want to get started, feel free to reach out to either of our teams and yeah, let us know. And that's right. Thank you, thank you, Sandy, for the back channel. Abstract Austin, May 29th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Make sure you clear your calendars. You're gonna want to be there.
Will it be
And
recorded and live streamed for the people back home?
oh yeah, it will be. I'll
Hell
be live
yeah.
streaming it. I'll be live streaming it myself, walking around in the event. So be
Beautiful.
sure to
And
say
then
hi.
Roland, I mean, these guys just messaged me and said, whoever suggests the most disgusting shot of alcohol, we'll take it, and whoever gets the most likes, we'll take that shot and live stream it. So,
Well, how are
Yeah,
you
I,
gonna?
that was what Anthony and Roland just said. I didn't make these rules, but
yeah. Santi said he would take mine on my behalf because I can't make it to
yeah.
Austin. So
I think
yeah.
Sandy just said he'll take 3, but that's fine.
All right, pickleback shots in Austin. It's going
Let's
down.
go.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Stay tuned. We'll have the
Ton
recording
of,
up for this posted shortly. Thank you, Bernd. This was awesome.
yeah, this is a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.